My name is Michael Gamonal, and I am moderating the book club discussion on Never Split the Difference. I run Gamonal Tutors ASVAB Domination Program. So if anybody you know is joining the military and wants to get in at the highest level possible, let me know, and we can get them there.
Absolutely. Paula Williams, ABCI. We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services, and our latest project is our Sales Skills Challenge, which is going on for free all through July, and then that's kicking off our professional aviation sales training course, which is starting in August. So if you'd like to get in on the free challenge and find out more about what the course is all about, you can go to aviationsalesskills.com.
Okay. Well, I'm Joni Schultz. I'm an aviation insurance broker, and I work for James A. Gardner Company and work with a great team of other brokers who have been in the business for a really long time, and I'm bringing my little piece of experience to the team. And if you know of anybody who's entertaining purchasing an aircraft or a hangar or even a business related to aviation, please think of me and share my information and number, and I'll take care of them.
Perfect. All right, sweet. So today we're talking about Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This book, I first heard this book on audiobook. So this is a quick plug for your local library. Go to your local library. They have audiobooks for free, and you can get great content while you're doing whatever you normally do. I'm all about Audible and all of those self-betterment things, but the free public works is something I really believe in with a teacher background. You gotta exploit those resources, man. That's what they're there for. But anyway, to get into the book itself, this is by, as I said, Chris Voss. Chris Voss is a CIA hostage negotiator. So he did work in Honduras and the Philippines, and this is a book about negotiation, but not necessarily about hostage negotiation. What he does now is he runs the Black Swan Business Group, and in the book they talk about what a Black Swan is and why that's his company's namesake. But essentially what he wants to do, from what I've gathered, is his grand scheme is to help people get the most out of their negotiations. He wants people to reach mutually beneficial agreements that will empower both the negotiator and the negotiatee to create the best relationship where people walk away, even if they feel like one person won the negotiation, the other person lost, they both walk away feeling like winners. Everybody gets something more out of that. One thing that he really fights against is win negotiations, which is something which I think is very common, particularly with me, with my sales calls. Oftentimes I will look at the lowest possible boundary and set that as my starting point. And that is the mistake that I make in sales, is I think, okay, this is worst case scenario. They pay me what I'm worth. I give them what I can. And that is not, that's not ideal, right? Ideally, they pay me as much as they can, and I give them as much as I can. We want everyone to come away with the most possible benefit from what they can get.
Smart.
Yeah. So that's really what this book is about. One thing that did not come with the audiobook, go figure, was the one sheet, right? So there's a one sheet item in the back, and that's kind of what I reviewed most recently. So I'm going to go over the one sheet a little later, but that's kind of my initial thoughts on the book. So go ahead, Mom. Do you have anything to add as far as what you thought of the book generally?
I think probably the biggest thing, you mentioned Black Swan, and I think the entire year of 2020 has been full of black swans. It's been like the flock of black swans in terms of, and the way he uses it, this is from page 216, the black swan symbolizes the uselessness of predictions based on previous experience. Black swans are events or pieces of knowledge that sit outside our regular expectations and therefore cannot be predicted. So yeah, we're in a blizzard of black swans right now with all of the crazy things that are going on that no one was expecting. And the best way to navigate that type of a situation is to back off to the simplest situation, not the least common denominator, but say, what do we know and what can we act on? But not having any expectations of, if we do this, then that will happen. It's just, let's just experiment and see what we can do. And we can't get much worse than some of the situations he's been in where he's been negotiating with people who are determined to kill 45 people, and, how do you talk somebody down from that kind of a situation? In some cases, the best outcome is not going to be a good one, but it will be less bad than it would be otherwise. So that's, anyway, initial thought right there. The year of the black swan, we'll call it that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I think the black swans are kind of like the unknown unknowns, right? Mm-hmm. And then you stumble across this opportunity that you never could have even considered without negotiating. And I think it's not in our nature to be on the lookout for those, because we go into a negotiation with goals. Yeah. And one thing that he advocates in this book is maintaining an open mind and looking at things from your client's perspective as much as possible, so that you can find out what they need and what they want to do. And from that, you can actually build a better rapport, which is a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about you, Joni? Do you have any negotiation thoughts or anything like that?
Well, it just so turns out, this is historical, but when we first started through this, April COVID thing, I have a cottage in Maine, okay? And, they weren't allowing anybody to go up there without, quarantining for 14 days, blah, blah, blah. But an interesting turn of events, they also wouldn't let you go to the grocery store there because as someone visiting, because, and I don't know how they were going to do this, but they said they were, the groceries are for the local people. And because this is a seasonal place that has an influx of people that move, or not move, but go there for the summer. Anyway, long story short, I had been teetering on selling this place. Okay. So I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I can't even go up to this place that I pay taxes for. So I'm like, I'm selling it. I'm putting it on the market. I called the realtor, which I had toyed back and forth for several years to sell it. Right. And then I'd go up there and I go, oh, I just love it here, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so then I decided, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to call a realtor, put it on the market. We came up with a price, and in 2 weeks I had an offer. Now we figured out the price. Now they gave me an offer, sight unseen. They'd not even walked into it because they couldn't. Yeah. And so they threw out an offer, and I'm talking to the realtor. This is the negotiation, right? And so I decide, I know the number that I've asked. I know the number they've given, and I'm going, let's just see what split the difference is, what that number is, right? So then I found it out, and then I talked to the realtor, and I said, well, what I want is I want them to come back. I don't want them to think about not buying, because I want it gone. Because in this market, who the heck knew what was going to go on, right? Yeah. I want it sold. So I said, I don't want to just split the difference. So I took the number, split the difference, looked at how much I would get out of that, and then looked at a number that I was willing to live with. And I thought that they would just go, yeah, without hesitation. So I came up with that number, and that's what they did. They took it without hesitation. Yeah. And so, because I figured out the difference between what I really wanted and how much I was going to counter with them, and see how much of a real difference would make it in my pocketbook. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a difference of $400. That's it.
Wow.
So okay. I'm like, you know what? this is when I want to come up with a number that they're just going to say, yes, I want it sold. So that's what
That's awesome. Has it been closed on? Is it all wrapped up?
We closed last Thursday.
Nice.
Congratulations. That's cool.
It took longer to close than it did to get the offer.
There you go.
Which I guess is normal, but if it wasn't a cash deal, they had to go through a bank. So,
right.
But remember, this is a second home for people. This is not a primary residence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is discretionary income, and I'm like, I just want it done.
Yeah.
And when you say this is, that's normal, who's to say? I mean, at this point, what qualifies as normal anymore? Anything could have happened with that deal. So it's great that it worked out.
Yeah. So, sometimes you and I feel like they felt like they got to win and I got to win.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know about, he's fighting against that, or I don't know.
Yeah. It's it's a little different. It's similar in that, he doesn't fight against win-win, right? He wants everybody to come away happy.
Right.
But he doesn't want people to make sacrifices, right? So in your situation where you made that sacrifice, he would probably argue that, oh, you shouldn't have done that. However, because you've done your motivation and you did your research and they did their homework and you knew exactly what you wanted, you didn't necessarily lose, right? You came out exactly where you wanted to be, which is what he advocates for. And that's why there's the one sheet. The one sheet is all about preparation for the negotiation deal. Mm-hmm. And because I just recently read it, he states that with the proper preparation for negotiation, he sees a 7-to-1 ratio of basically coming into a deal prepared rather than trying to fix the pieces later.
Right.
So that's the ounce of prevention is a pound of cure kind of thing. And that's exactly what you did. You did your preparation.
I did. I wanted to know, I just looked at the number, and said, well, geez, what difference is this between what I probably would have gone up a couple more $1,000, because they were about 10,000 lower and I only went 2,000 up, 2,000 higher. But I also looked at the fact that I wasn't sure how it would appraise, because if it doesn't appraise for a certain amount, then the bank, if it was a cash deal, which I guess I didn't know if it was or wasn't, but I didn't say only cash offers. So, anything can come to the table. But the point is, I just knew that I couldn't go over that, because then they have to bring extra money to the table. They can't, but if it's 100% finance, then there's appraisal situations.
Yeah. So
that's part of the negotiation too, of making sure what your property's worth.
Right. There's a real quick story that I came into this with, the never split the difference, the story that they tell in, and this is the Pacific Institute, Lou Tice's story, but, a guy goes to the store and there are 3 oranges left. And he wants these 3 oranges. And then another guy also wants these 3 oranges. So they're fighting over these 3 oranges. So the split the difference would be that each of them get 1.5 oranges and they, buy those oranges and they go off and do their thing. But they started talking to each other. And as it turns out, one of them was a baker that wanted the peels for a fruitcake. And the other one was an athlete that wanted the orange juice. So as it turned out, they just got together, went out to the parking lot, I don't know why they had, tools in their cars or whatever, but, one of them was a chef, so whatever. One of them peeled the oranges, put their orange peels in a baggie. They juiced the oranges right there. The guy had his little beaker of juice to mix his sports drink with. And they're both happy, and they got more than they would have gotten if they had just split, as if, because you go into a situation thinking it's all about the jelly beans, it's all about the money, it's all about the whatever the limited item is, but not everybody is going into it thinking time, money, emotion, effort, all of those things are of equal value, to everybody. So that's what I love about this, is that he goes into, and I'm pointing at my book here. That's why he goes into this, every single situation going, what is it that you want? Not assuming that he knows, Yeah. And Mickey, I know you're doing that in your sales calls right now. You're not, assuming that the money is the most important thing.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Right. I really struggle with it, thinking about it. In the one sheet, the fourth step is non-cash offers. Right. And so I'm drawing a total blank. Like, what could a 20-year-old give me that isn't a cash offer that I can use to either, grow my business or that sort of thing? Like, I could take testimonials, but I'm not, I'm not doing charity, like I'm trying to get buy-in from my students. So I need to know that they're invested. So I am struggling a little bit with the non-cash offer, which is kind of like those athletes with the orange juice, like what, so I think it takes a little more forethought for sure. And it also, what it would take more from me is finding out exactly what the students can give me, what they have.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking like perhaps a service that they do, almost like a barter,
Yeah.
I mean, if there was something that you needed say that you didn't know your ABCI, you needed some marketing, help or something, or analytics or something, something IT and, whatever, something that you don't know anything about.
Right.
Yeah.
Situation.
Right. And for me hearing that, I'm thinking to myself, I know everything, and that's the exact problem that he's talking about. Right. That's the exact problem that you're talking about is you don't, right? Like if you go into a negotiation thinking you know everything, you're not going to get the maximum benefit from that negotiation.
Right.
That's pretty smart, I'm saying.
So you could find out if they belong to any particular groups or anything like that. If they've got an ROTC group at their school or something like that maybe they could introduce you to. You could find out if they could work for you, in some way, because you've got a lot of grunt work that you need done in terms of, posts that need to happen and, other things that need to go on in your social groups and things like that. So the more people, the better. In some of those, you could put them to work.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. And you guys are both right. There are other things that I could use, but I need to start listing them out. I need to know what I want, right? If I can go in and say this is another option for you, it's like some sort of a fallback, then I'm great, then I'm set. And so the more I can figure out about my clients, the better. And that's what the other 3 steps are. So I'm just going to run through those 3 steps real quick, and then I'll let you take it from there, Norm, if you have anything else you want to throw on this one. So step 1 is set the goal. So the cool thing about this negotiation one sheet is I thought that the one sheet would be kind of like a rubric, with like boxes and you put your thing right there or whatever, you fill it out, but it's actually just 4 steps. So the 4 steps, and then you just use a sheet of paper and you lay out these four ideas, which I think is way better, because we live in a climate now where it is better, where's the worksheet? What's the toolkit? And we want all this stuff, right? And it doesn't do anything. So one cool thing about this book is it's just like, use your own paper, like this is what you need to know. These are the 4 things you need to know. You don't need a survey gizmo that makes it look right. You just need to know these 4 things. So I like that. I like the critical analysis there. But yeah, the first thing is set the goal. So my personal goal would be $300 per month or $75 per week for tuition. That is what I'm going in. And I don't have like an upper limit, lower limit sort of thing. So I know that that's something that I need to work on. Step 2 is going to be summarize the facts. So knowing why, so my facts are going to be: 1, I know that they need help. 2, I know that I give help. 3, I know that there are free resources out there. And 4, I know that free resources don't help most people. The majority of people who get free stuff don't use it anyway, or think that it's worthless, either way. So those are a few of the facts that I've come to the conclusion with. And for you guys, I'm sure it's easy to come up with the facts for your clients. You guys have a little more research. You're not just taking kids off the street or off of Facebook. You guys use, people who are probably a little more vetted and people who have very clear objectives. The next thing is, so there's two more. The next thing is labels and accusations. So labels and accusation audit. So this is where you use your "it seems like" questions. So my "it seems like" statements are: it seems like money is valuable to you. It seems like you want to join the military. It seems like you need help with math or word knowledge. And then it seems like you are reluctant to join the pro group. So these "it seems like" really give your client the opportunity to respond, right? This isn't me saying, oh, this isn't for you. This is me saying, it seems like you're not interested, or it seems like you have something else in mind. And that's a digging tool, right? When I say "it seems like," they are more likely to give me information about it. So
that's active listening, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then number 4 is going to be those calibrated questions. So coming in with 3 to 4 calibrated questions is going to help you a lot. So what's the biggest challenge you face is a great one. How does this fit into your objective? And what are we trying to accomplish? They're just clarifying questions, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And that's where the black swans are going to jump out. I mean, throughout all 3 of these steps, you're going to see people offer more information than you ask for, which is what you want.
Right.
And then step 5, as I said, non-cash offers. So what would you take if they weren't going to pay you? Or something that they could pay you less for and you would give them more. So his non-cash offer that he took, or his particular black swan example, was he is a negotiator. And he did a kind of like not necessarily a book club, but he did some sort of an interview, and they were trying to pay him less than what he wanted. But they told him, hey, we can put you on the cover of our magazine. And he wouldn't have known that if he wasn't asking these calibrated questions. So as soon as they said, hey, we can put you on the cover of the magazine, he said, well, that is infinitely more valuable than what the money figure that I was looking for. So I'll take whatever half price you want to give me, and I'll take the cover of the magazine, definitely. So it made the person who did the interview, because the person who did the interview was trying to show his bosses that he could do cheap deals, that he could get this big speaker on the cheap. And so it was a win-win-win all the way around because of the calibrated questions. So that would be the non-cash offer that was highlighted in the book.
Right. That's fantastic. I think this is going to be a little bit of a struggle for aviation culture kind of folks, because they come from a world where everything is checklisted, and everything is rigid, and you have a very detailed procedure for just about everything that you do, right? And then over here, you've got negotiation and black swans and craziness and thinking out of the box. And, so, I mean, it's almost the exact opposite of what people are used to. But then you think about, when somebody is a Sully Sullenberger situation or something like that, that is a black swan. That is this is not supposed to happen. What the heck do we do now kind of a situation. So, I'm just trying to figure out how to apply this and how much my clients are going to struggle if I suggest that they use this in a sales situation. So anyway, that's an excellent summary. I like the rundown.
Yeah, no, the five steps are great, and I'm so happy I wrote them down, and I plan to continue. I will rewrite those drafts because I'm going to continue to do sales calls, and as such, I need to be more familiar going in, particularly with my calibrated questions, because that does not create assumptions about my client. It asks, which is so much more valuable for 2 reasons. Even if I know the answer for what I'm asking, if they share it with me, they get that opportunity to let themselves know exactly what they're looking for, which is more important than me telling them.
Right.
So
Right.
That's an added benefit.
And Joni, I know you've done sales for many, many more moons than I have. You've got a lot more experience and things like that. But does this sound like something that you could or have used in the past?
I was just sitting here, I've done, sales in different ways, but mostly there's no negotiation with pricing. For
Right.
me, I'm just the middle person.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but but as you were presenting this, I thought, well, yeah, since I don't really create the pricing myself, but what if I wanted to, go to some place to advertise, my business? I could use these steps very easily for that.
Yeah.
So while maybe your goods and services don't have any negotiation
Flexibility. Right.
flexibility, there's other areas of, especially for me, because I'm kind of the one-man show for, I'm just a producer, not just, I mean, I'm a producer, so I don't have I'm earning a commission, and that commission is set, and that pricing is set, and my commission's based on that.
Right. But do you negotiate on terms, or anything else? I mean, is there anything that can be that is flexible about the policies that you provide, or anything like that? Where we could say we could cover more planes, but not your hangars, or those kinds of things to get to a solution that will work for the amount of money that you're willing to pay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when I go out and get quotes for new business, every company has a different policy.
Yeah,
they write different coverages in their policies, and that's what's different, between all of the different companies for insuring a Cessna 172, whatever. There's like Star has a great a policy. They have no deductibles. They don't do any deductibles. So where these other companies are tacking on high percentage deductibles. So, I don't negotiate that, but I can definitely present that to my clients.
Yeah.
As a benefit. It's not a monetary benefit. Well, it is if they have a loss, that kind of thing. But I do have my favorites, and I've developed my favorites over just this short time, which actually is about a year now. I can't believe it's been a year since I started.
Is that favorite clients or favorite? What was it?
Favorite policies, because of the extra features that they have built into their policy, and things that that they cover that they don't, like a non-owned policy for a pilot. If they're a CFI, this is just an example. So if they're a CFI and they want a non-owned policy, meaning anything, it covers any aircraft that they don't own, that they fly on a regular basis, this CFI gets an endorsement for this non-owned for negligent instruction.
Mm-hmm.
Not all companies offer that endorsement. And that's a good endorsement to tell a CFI, because suppose this person says, you never taught me that.
Yep. And you need that coverage.
It's not negligence in that, but it's like they forgot to teach something.
Yeah.
Someone claims that they forgot to teach something, kind of thing. You get it?
That's a great example. That's a great example. And that is a black swan for them, right? That's something that probably most of your clients will never even consider until you say, hey, this is an added benefit that you should be aware of. And that's what you want to be offering. You want to be offering that kind of value. So that's a great example.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
And, and there's, you can, everything's insurable. You can endorse anything for a price. Sometimes they charge you for those endorsements, and sometimes they throw them in, but you've got to ask. You have to know to ask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How would you know? Exactly.
You wouldn't know. Right. And that's the benefit of a broker. as opposed to an Avemco insurance company that you just write, you go directly to the company. You're not an insurance professional. You don't know what to ask. That's what I'm worth is net commission.
I think most people only think about insurance twice a year. Once when they write the check, and second when they, heaven forbid something happens. That shouldn't happen once a year.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I mean, and that's when you really understand the real, what the value of that policy is when you have a claim. And then it's too late. And so I always say to people is that, why would you want to pay insurance for something if you know it doesn't cover that? To me, if I'm going to pay for something, I want to pay for it and have it pay out if I need it. That's the worst case scenario, is to pay in and it never covered any, like, contents of a hangar.
Yeah.
These people think that it's, they have hangar insurance and the contents are covered. No, that's not true. You have to know, well, it was in there. No, you have to itemize it. It's very different. Education. Right. And I like educating people on it. I don't know. It just gives me pleasure, I guess.
Well, you're talking to 3 educators or 2 other educators.
Yep.
Exactly.
No, there's a huge benefit there. I mean, that is exactly the kind of win-win situation that we're talking about. Nobody's losing anything by you letting them know, and that's just so great. That's the kind of powerful stuff that you want to tap into as a salesman and as a negotiator. This is going to get both of us where we want to go faster and better. How can you add to that? And those are the kinds of questions that I want to ask during my negotiations, for sure.
Right.
I'm going to order this book today.
Well, what's funny is I went into it thinking, this guy's going to be a blowhard badass, whatever, because he negotiates all of these tough situations with serial killers and hostage takers and crazy people like that. And, so of course he's going to be a real tough guy. But before him, the practice was always separate the problem from the people and be a real cold calculator of circumstance and things like that. And after him, he's changed the entire culture of negotiation to be one of what he calls tactical empathy and
love and acceptance.
Well, not love and acceptance, but tactical empathy. They're 2 different things. Not hugs. Not hugs and tears.
It's a lot squishier, right? To hear it out loud, tactical empathy versus cold and calculating. Like, which one do you think the CIA is going to employ when dealing with a hostage taker or a terrorist?
Right.
Are we supposed to be using tactical? Like, tactical sounds cool, but as soon as you throw empathy in there, it's like, yo, let's get HR in here, man. Like, CIA is messing up.
Right. Well, his definition, let's see, I tell my students that empathy is the ability to recognize the perspective of a counterpart and the vocalization of that recognition. That's an academic way of saying empathy is paying attention to another human being, asking them what they're feeling, and making a commitment to understanding them, not agreeing with them, not telling them they're right, not hugging them, not spilling tears over their childhood or anything like that. But that's so I love that. I think that's where I need to be. I need to be sometimes a little bit tougher than I am. And Mickey will probably disagree because he probably thinks I was pretty tough. But but in a sales situation, I need to be a little bit tougher than I have been. But I can't go all the way to Zig Ziglar, right? That's not my personality. And I can't be, your money or my money is in your pocket and your products are in my trunk. And I'm just here to make the exchange. That's not the kind of person I am. But I could be this kind of person. So, that gets me closer to something that's effective for me.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the.
Else. I mean, you can't just, I've tried,
Right? You listen to tapes.
Somebody's tactics and right, it's got to be part of you.
Yeah.
You were saying.
Yeah, you can't reinvent yourself for a sale. Like that's so insincere to begin with that that is that's neither win nor win-win. That's just losers everywhere. Nobody can.
Losers all over the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, cool. No, you're exactly right. One thing that he talks about that I started employing with my fiance is he says,
oh heavens, you're going to spill the beans? Is she going to listen to this?
I don't know if she'll hop on this call, but basically, she's a state over. We'll see. Anyway, the deal is if you say that's right versus you're right. So he was talking about a negotiation with his son. He was trying to convince his son to play defensive end instead of tackle or whatever. And his son would always just agree and say, yeah, you're right. But until he presented it in a way that his son said, that's right. That's a very, very small change, right? You're right versus that's right. But if something is objectively true, not relating to a personal pronoun, then it has nothing to do with them. It's just a fact. And as soon as it becomes a fact, that's when it matters to everyone. That's what drives change is facts. So I thought that was super, because what you want, and then he says what you want in a negotiation is you want whoever you're negotiating with to say that's right. You want them to agree with you, but not in a way that makes you look like you're smarter, or not in a way that makes you look like you're better, but in a way that makes them realize that you're just stating objective facts.
I like that.
No, I was stuck on it forever after that, because now, whenever because you say you're right all the time, when you're talking to people, you're like, oh, you're right. But like, if you start to break that down and you're like, wait a minute, am I really agreeing with them, or am I just giving them am I really just telling them to shut up? Which is what he says you're right really means is shut up.
I don't care enough about this to keep arguing, so you're right. That's different than that's right, which is you've got a point.
There's a whole new depth to disagreements in relationships, right? As soon as you don't give them an out when they say you're right, which means shut up, as soon as you get a whole new round, with whatever you were fighting about.
So how do you use that, though? So, like you're talking to someone, you want them to say that's right. And of course, you can do that from your end. And, whenever you're stating an objective truth, I can say that's right rather than you're right. And, that definitely improves the situation. But how do you get the other person to that point?
So if you are arguing with someone and then they say that you are right, what you do is you use those calibrated questions, right? Because if they say you're right, we've already agreed that means shut up, right? So what you then want to do is you want to ask about what they think. So then you say, it seems like you think that I'm correct. Or maybe better yet, it seems like you think that math knowledge is important.
Okay.
And boom, they take it from there, right? Because as soon as you say that, you're leaving them open to run. And so they can say, oh, yeah, math knowledge is important. But and then you get deeper into what they really value, which is what you want.
And then if black swan flies out of their ear, and then you're off to the races. So
exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I have a new tactic. Every time I hear somebody say you're right, you calibrate that question to dig deeper to see, because if they say you're right, they still think you're wrong somewhere, right? Because they just say you're right. So you're right, but, and then you can get to that but. As soon as you get to what am I wrong about, you can use that to your advantage. You can figure out exactly why they say that you're right, but they don't give a damn, right? And you need to know why they don't give a damn. So you ask that calibrated question.
Right. Okay. So you're right, but that's not important to me. My math skills, I really don't care about. I just want to get the score on the ASVAB that I want so that I can get the job that I want. But I really don't want to have to learn math in the process of doing that.
Right. Well, and a perfect example is if you're doing a sales call, right? And they say, you're right. I need a marketing strategy. I don't have one, and you're right. I need a marketing strategy. And you're right. And then what you would say, do you have a guess as to what a possible response to that would be?
I could say something about, it sounds like you agree that a marketing strategy would be ideal, but it's probably not on your top 3 things to do this week, because normally it's not. So, people might agree that it's important, but they won't agree that it is the most important thing that they could be doing with their time or their money right now.
Exactly. It seems like you agree that marketing is important. However, there may be other priorities.
Yeah.
And then you don't say anything else, right? You don't say anything about their priorities, because then that's their chance, right? That's their opportunity to tell you exactly from the horse's mouth why they can't work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as you have that information, that is something that's actionable.
Right.
Otherwise, it's nothing. It's a lost cause.
So then you do the hardest job in a sales call, which is to shut up and wait.
Yeah, no, it's like they used to say about the Beatles, right? It's the notes that they don't hit, right? Ringo Starr, the Beatles makes the best music ever, but it's not necessarily the music that they're playing, it's the pauses that really make their music amazing. And that is probably true of all conversation. Like I try all the time to try to talk a little bit less, and I'm not very good at it. But particularly in Peace Corps, when I would quiet down and climb up a little bit, I would get so much more out of every interaction.
I have no idea where you got that from. But yeah, it is a struggle. And especially when you're uncomfortable, like you're in a sales call, your natural inclination is to fill the pauses with information, and reasons that they should buy from you and things like that. But, and Joni, I know you've sold many, many, many different kinds of things in retail and fundraising and everything else. So I'm sure there's probably some wisdom you can drop on us here.
Well, I too have learned to not talk as much. I look at my daughter who's 19 and she nonstop talks, and I'm going, that's exactly the way I was. I can see that, and I don't mean like when I was her age, but like not long ago, I would just talk too much. So. Yeah, and honestly, I think the way I learned, is a few things. A lot through, I was very active in direct sales, and I know a lot of people poo-poo a lot of the direct sales companies, but you learn so much about yourself, and because it's just, you are that person. There's nobody telling you what to do. You are learning how to motivate yourself. You are learning how to, connect with people. I did huge sales. I mean, but I believed in the product. You know what I mean? So these are the things you've really got to believe in the product, or you can't sell it.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
Can't. I mean, because people see through the non-passion, if you call it. They really do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I learned most of about myself, and the fact that I guess I'm a good salesperson, and maybe I could be a lot better, by really engaging in a few of these, other people books and stuff like that, especially this one. I think I really would enjoy reading. So but that's, I don't know. I just feel like I need to listen to more, and I've learned to listen more.
Right. One thing I wanted to get back to, Mickey, is the fact that it's almost never about the money. And I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on that, having just had a conversation, that we talked about, where it came down to, the misconception that it's always about the money, and if your price is above X, then you've got a problem, and that kind of thing. But I don't know if you've had any further thoughts on that you want to share.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for anybody out there who's buying or selling anything, what you need to, the toughest thing to realize is that money is only a tool. So It's just the tool that is going to help you get whatever you want, right? You can't use it for anything else. That's all it does. So if you're not getting what you want from your money, you should probably use it to get something that you want. So as such, I need to start viewing, I intend to start viewing money as something that only shows the investment, because my objective isn't to make money. I'm not in business to make money. I'm in business to make people better. That's what I want to do. I want to empower students to go be better military leaders in the future. I want them to believe that they're smart enough to score the ASVAB well. I want them to think that, okay, if I get a job as an operations specialist, I'm as good as the person next to me. Not because I barely got in by the skin of my teeth. I can do hard stuff. Like, that's what I want people to believe after working with me. And the money is just to show that you're going to put in that effort to do that day in, day out.
Mm-hmm. And you had some difficulty investing in some training for yourself a few months ago. Is that something you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. I paid for a tutoring program, a program that teaches you how to build a tutoring business. And it was $600 up front for 10 weeks. And I got cold feet before I paid for it. I got cold feet after I paid for it. It took about 3 weeks for me to be like, oh, thank God, because I'm so happy now that I paid for it, because I have a rubric, and that's where I was flailing. I didn't have somebody who knew how to do what I wanted to do. So now that I have someone who's already been there, done that, they can lay out the steps, and I'm actually making progress on my goals, which is recordable progress. I can look back at how far I've come so far and see that I'm getting closer to where I want to be. And without me investing initially, I would still be completely floundering. I'd be dropping off flyers for free lessons on street corners, hoping that somebody calls me. And that's just not where you want to be.